Other programs have pointed out that some of those new pieces are a little old new pieces. LeBron James took to Twitter to fire back at the critics, and here is what he said. Keep talking about my squad, our personal ages, the way he plays, he stays injured, we're past our prime in this league, etc., etc., etc. Do me one favor, please, and I mean please, keep that same narrative energy when it begins. That's all I ask. Thank you. Jalen, he later deleted this. Why do you think he went with the tweet and delete?
LeBron, you know how much I love him. Here's the deal, David Jacoby. So put that tweet back up there if it's okay. So are we allowed to acknowledge that the Lakers have the oldest team on paper in the history of the league? Are we allowed to actually just say that? Is that okay? Are we allowed to point out a fact that Anthony Davis and or LeBron James, likely due to injury or load management, won't play 82 games this year? Is that okay? And last but certainly not least, I'm glad he didn't use the term hating, but that's what is construed by so many people, and you've heard me say this for a decade. This generation uses the term hating incorrectly. Okay, just because I may disagree with you or have a differing opinion than yours, it does not mean that I'm hating. And also, is LeBron playing victim? Hold on. So let me get this right. The favorite, LeBron James, who went to Miami, played with Bosh and Wade, went to Cleveland, played with Kyrie and Love, came to LA and played with AD, and now remade his roster to where he got an MVP like Russ and a scorer Hall of Famer like Melo. So the Lakers the underdog?
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Is that what we doing here, Jacoby?
He's now saying, look at us, we're the underdogs. People are doubting us. Like, no one's doubting you, LeBron. Matter of fact, if you look at the Las Vegas odds for who's going to win the championship, the Lakers are right up there with the Nets. They are not underdogs. They are favorites. They are favorites. They are the favorites to come out of the West. They've got Hall of Famers up and down the roster. They've got shooting. They've got defense. They've got a player at every position. Like, no one is doubting you, LeBron James. You are not the underdogs. It's actually the exact opposite of that. But I love the way he does this. He really does control the narrative, and he even used the word narrative in his tweet that he was controlling as well. Oh, I love this Lakers team so much. I do have them coming out of the Western Conference. I'm not doubting you, LeBron. You are the favorite. Jalen Rose, I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What exactly is it that we do?
We get the people what they want.
LeBron James did the classic tweet and then delete. We will hear from Aaron Rodgers, but we start with the Olympic Games. Team USA is now in the gold medal game. After a rocky start, they beat Australia. France beat Slovenia. So we now have the gold medal match. Jalen, if you recall, they lost to France earlier in group play. What do you think about this gold medal game?
You heard Red Man. I'm out for the gold, and after that, the platinum. Woo, legendary bars. Here's the thing for Team USA. Kevin Durant was huge in the second half. After being down double digits, it don't matter if it was 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4, 1 versus 5. He turned into KD at the Rucker back in the day when he had over 60, and he had eyes on the prize, and he was not going to allow us to lose. That's what propelled us to actually get to this point. Now, since we at this point, got to find a way to slow down the Knicks' Fournier. Gotta find a way to keep Rudy Gobert off the boards. Like, they beat us before. So for your prediction of a guaranteed gold medal to happen, those are two things in particular we got to make sure we take care of.
Absolutely. I expect the U.S. to win this game, but I'm glad you mentioned Kevin Durant because he has been absolutely phenomenal for Team USA. And because the Bucks were so dominant against the Suns, winning 4 straight games, we almost forget just how good Kevin Durant was in that Nets-Bucks series. This has been a great summer for Kevin Durant, a great bounce-back year, and I expect him to carry this momentum from Tokyo into the new season, which is going to start in like 3 weeks. Like, it's going to start. It really is. New season's going to start soon, and I expect the Nets to be on top of the Eastern Conference, powered by that man, Kevin Durant.
We normally have an NBA champion once every 12 months. Well, this year we had 2 in almost 9 months. And I agree with you, this has been a great summer and playoff for KD. But the regular season is going to start in October. So it's going to be interesting for me, not necessarily the Nets, but the entire NBA, in particular contending teams, how they respond to the short offseason.
Well, this has been a short offseason, but it's been very busy for the Los Angeles Lakers. They added a lot of new pieces, and we might have mentioned here on this program and many other.
Time for the gold medal game for Team USA after beating Australia 97-78. At one point, though, they were down 15. Kevin Durant hit 2 big three-pointers to pace a 12-0 run to start the second half, and the U.S. dominated in the third, outscoring the Aussies 32-10. Next up, France, the team that upset them at the start of the Olympics. Brian Windhorst with more from Tokyo.
Team USA's games here in Tokyo have fallen into a really uncomfortable pattern. They get behind early, and then Kevin Durant rides into the rescue. It happened again against the Australians in the semifinals. The U.S. was down 15 points in the second quarter of this game, and nothing was going right. That's when Durant came in, put his head down, made several big baskets, and started what ended up being a 20-0 run between the second and third quarters that changed the entire game. When Durant comes in and shows off his capability like this, it relaxes the entire roster. We've seen it over the last 3 games, and it was a difference maker in this one. So now the Americans get another chance at France. They've lost to them in the last 2 competitions, including here in Tokyo in the first game. The French's size has continued to bother the U.S., especially Rudy Gobert and the great outside shooting of Evan Fournier. But Kevin Durant has been awesome in gold medal games in his career, scoring 30 points in the last 2. He may need to do it again for the U.S. to win their 4th consecutive gold.
Thanks, Wendy. And as the U.S. moves on to the gold medal game, where they will once again face off with France, just recalling that those 2 teams met at the start of the Olympics and that France went on a 16-2 run to end the game to upset the USA. USA was up 7, and France went on a big run down the stretch. Now, history, USA won 7 straight men's basketball golds from 36 to 68.
Let's keep it basketball. Move to the NBA. Knicks All-Star forward Julius Randle has agreed to a 4-year, $117 million contract extension, elevating his deal's total value to 5 years, $140 million, his agents told ESPN. Randle had a remarkable breakthrough season for the Knicks, earned NBA's Most Improved Player Award and second-team All-NBA honors, leading New York back to the playoffs for the first time in 7 seasons.
And how about this? LaMarcus Aldridge is seriously considering a return to the NBA for the upcoming season, according to Woj. He abruptly retired with the Nets in mid-April after heart